Gets on with it. Yeah. Clo-yo, clo-yo, clo-yo. Come ye, one and all a trura. County O, County Council, County Town of Cornwall. Help choke off Falmouth, push up house prices in Redruth, and grind what's left of Chiverton into the rubble. Come ye, one and all, come ye to Trura, Church of England, Cathedral City. Worship at the new Cathedral of St. Michael, Marks and Sparks. Give generously to the chief executive of the old one. Celebrate St. John, St. Paul, St. George, and look for the fabled St. Ringo. Hey, come ye, one and all, come ye to Truro for double price coffee, triple price parking, and inflated carrot fines. Come ye, one and all to Truro, rows of 4x4s in resident permit holders only spaces for dentists, accountants, and solicitors. God bless the Mayor of Truro, St. George, and merry old England. Truro agus Dinarch. Garris Wharf, Moorfield, Viaduct, full. Bit strapped for cash this week? Piss off.
So I went to a funeral in Truro Methody the other day. The place was rammed, top to bottom, for Susan Tan. And at the end of this service, which was designed by the family, John Tan, the youngest son, stood up in the pulpit in St. Mary Clement's Chapel and shouted, "She's on her way to heaven. 3 cheers for Mother. Hip hip." And the whole place stood up. Did it. Fantastic. I thought that was fantastic. All in our black, all along the pew, and the long pine box lying still. Oh, all the poems, all the solemn words, all the tears we chose to spill. We all raised the chapel roof as if we were all needing proof. We hip it parade, we made her parade. 3 cheers for love, 3 cheers for Sue. Before the Celtic benediction, before the slow procession, before their shoulders took her way, while sunlight read its lesson. We all raised the chapel roof as if we were all needing proof. We hip it parade, we made her parade. 3 cheers for love, 3 cheers for Sue. The twin black mares standing still, the carriage glass shining bright, oh, the flowers flutter in the midday air. We cheered her soul in flight. We all raised the chapel roof as if we would need improve. We hip hip hooray, we made her parade. 3 cheers for love, 3 cheers for Sue. The kettle lying quiet and cold, a speck of dust settles on her shell. Carriage and crowd are walking her road. The night's as long as life itself. We all raise the chapel roof as if we were all needing proof. We hip hip hooray, we made her parade. 3 cheers for love, 3 cheers for Sue. 3 cheers for Sue. 3 cheers for Sue. 3 cheers for Sue.
Right, this is supposed to be about dialect, and well, this day is, but there's a bit of Kernowic to start with. Right, the translation might make more sense in the context of this day, but I better explain what's going on. Right, in Troon, where I grew up, there was the charity shop, all right? And you never ever bought anything from charity shop lest you knowed where it come from. So, when I moved away to that other great cricketing capital of Cornwall, Grampound Road, when I used to come back to Troon, Mother used to say, "Oh, have you got these?" And I would be presented with some random article from charity shop. So that's what's going on here. There are 2 voices in this poem. One is a pompous bugger, that's me, and the other's Mother. Right, the translation might make more sense. Antonio, a Geryow, Gould, a Grenville, you yain. Mes, Haravi, Mos, Trey, the Domder, Agaskizio, Methel, Wellamul. Pew? Wellamul, Tia War, Danecoth, Ganspim, Hor, Mabcotha, Danecoth, Mul, Ever the Methus, Ben and Goth, Tragascus, a the Worth Forth Letty, Dew Verk thithy, Janet S. Skullgines, Pat the Bonnies the Thes, Gans Broder, Jan Jenkin, a Drigus in Poljoin, a Lemon in Hellas, Mesavith de Wellis, O'Prenna, Bungalow, William Henry Kitto. A me, Mewodge and Dane, Nebatrig and Hennath, and Fortho Tremin, and Kemmer the Pup Zorn and Vro, a Virorth and Venan Dramoon Ma, Niwar Luia Cartan, and Ganethel Gernowic, the Gernow Goth, Gans Golot Fesgoki. Well, the Wellamul, Deworth and Gwerthy Cherita, and Ninzinzi Shindas Fifth. Trey, and Mia Aes o Dewdraws a Berth, in comfort to all's de France. The fires at Conduro, Goulds and Grenville are cold, but I come home to warmth and Willie Moyle's slippers. Who? Willie Moyle, you know, old man with 5 sisters. Oldest son, old man Moyle, you know, old man Moyle, married old woman Tregascus from up Lady Road. Got 2 daughters. Janet went to school with he. Pat ran off with Jan Jenkins' brother, lived down Poljoy, now down Helston, but coming back, buying William Henry Kitto's bungalow. And I, Boy Hodge, the man who lives in the generation of bypasses, looks at, which take me to every corner of this land, looks at this Troon woman who doesn't even drive a car. The Cornish nation to old Cornwall, with a bit of a foolish look. Well, they're Willie Moyles from up charity shop and they hadn't hurt at all. At home, I ease my feet into the comfort of a different age. Right.
This is entitled The BMW Tube. Cookworthy gave us decent cups and saucers to drink from and crook our little finger. And Henry Bone of Truro made them pretty, before ever embarrassed Queen Victoria, who in 1846 refused to linger, agreed to change the old borough's title to city, whilst Carlin Cross to Chivy, the new A30, will give us nothing but emissions to make them dirty. Though China cups reduced demand for tin and put an end to pewter, all that lead in every drink go into the head to affect what we think, to chase our link and rely on AI to die before our computer. Oh, the white of paper, the toothpaste glaze, the slipping down of pills coated in sugar of slaves. China clay repays our Cornish investment and keeps us going even in these digitalist days. But tarmac Adam, buns and bridges, neutered fields under dual carriageways, will they infuse Cookworthy or Bone, or merely reduce Cornwall to a connection on a phone? A smart location for consuming art, a second home in which our abandoned widow may weep alone.
Right. Where is it? Is there anyone here from Redruth? Get it, you're from Stithians. You're from Redruth, really? Well, this poem is for you then. This is called The Road to Camburn. In the unlikely event that someone from Redruth to learn to read, and to come to appreciate poetry, he or she may well be amazed to find that Kernow's greatest English language poet is John Harris of Ballina, Camburn. The chopper, that's what we'd call the native of Redruth, might turn to the beauty of the Cornish language, only to find that the pinnacle of Kernow is Bownan's Mary Azek, the founding of St Mary Azek's Church, Camburn. Turning to the world of work, the last tin mine in Europe is South Crofty, Camburn. Anyhow, to get a fiddy job there, you would have to be educated at the world-renowned Camburn School of Mines. Yeah. There they would learn that the deepest mine was the queen of Cornish mines, Dalcoath, Camburn. And everyone to know the locomotive for a train was invented by Richard Trevithick of Pumpons, Camburn. But before going on they pennied Darren rails, one of his engines was the first car leading to the anthem, going up Camburn Hill, coming down. More of that later. And 'twas all possible because of the work on high pressure steam and the engineering genius of Arthur Wolfe of Camburn, and the invention of the Cornish boiler by Nicholas Ullman of Camburn. And then there's Bickford Smith, who invented that there safety fuse that grew into the industrial giant ICI. And it all began at his factory at Tugamil, a suburb of Camburn. With the divine music of Judith Bailey of Camburn, bit chat with Mrs. Rose Warren, Queen of Camburn, and Talek's Kernowick School up Mount Pleasant, Camburn. Nowhere, yes, nowhere can the chopper, or indeed the rest of the world, escape the genius of Camburn people. And they'd all have to agree that the best thing to come out of Redruth is the road to Camburn. Thank you.
This reminds me that I did a gig many years ago with Mrs. Rose Warren at the Age Concern Annual General Meeting and Jamboree, at which the audience was comprised of about 250 people, all in motorised wheelchairs, whose idea of applauding was not to applaud. They would rock their wheelchairs backwards and forwards on their joysticks like this. It was interesting. It was just like suddenly the audience would start moving like the ocean. You know, it was very. And anyway, Mrs. Rose Warren stood up, and Mrs. Rose Warren was a consummate professional. If you said, "I want you to speak for 7 minutes and 22.5 seconds. On 22.4 seconds, she was done. She was brilliant. And she told this story, and these people were shaking in their wheelchairs, and it was the filthiest story. I can't remember it. It was the filthiest story I have ever heard in my life. Okay, it was disgusting. And she sold it, and and it was full of idioms and words from Canberra and all the rest of it. Out in what they laughingly called the green room, which was an old tent that was blowing in the wind. It's Indian Queens we are on the moors. And I said to her, Mrs. Rosewater, I said, where did you hear that story? I shouldn't think that's happened down Centenary Chapel. She said, no, dear, so I got it off Bernard Manning at Batley Variety Club. So it's an interesting thing, dialect, because it accumulates influences from all over the place, including rock and roll. And this is dedicated to the memory of one of the great women of Redruth, Nellie Wyness, who when she decided she wanted a male, she would come and take one. Like that. There was one truth, no Zen enigma, no Platonic assertion, no I think therefore I am. One truth for a band in the days when a band was a band and not a hodgepodge of costume and techno gadgetry. And what would this plain truth be? You can't refuse to play the blues at the London Inn, Redruth. You can reggae, croon, thrash and schmooze, but the Choppers blues is the only truth. The council shut it down, the brewery shut it down, the landlord boarded up its doors, bailiffs ripped the floors, but ghosts of bands, unrecorded, lurk forever along blue velvet benches and name-scratched tables. Somewhere an AC-30 and a Fender Strat await the creak of the London's door, the last reluctant tick of an inspector's biro, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, Redruth's blues gonna kick the door. You can't refuse to play the blues at the London Inn, Redruth. You can reggae, croon, thrash and schmooze, but the Choppers blues is the only truth. In its heyday, fisty boys down in lager, cheap jewelled maids with sad shops to flush out their systems. Friday at the London was a stadium gig, as mad as rock and roll could get. Remember Nellie, do we? When she come looking, the boys took off. Only the poor sod who caved in early, out of it in a corner, she'd grab him and go. And the band played the blues. No way dared refuse. 'Twas a hard town, Redruth. It liked its music, 12 bar and loud. You can't refuse to play the blues at the London Inn, Redruth. You can reggae, croon, thrash and schmooze, but the Choppers blues is the only truth.
We are Vardh, which is Cornish for two bards, because we are. And we are now Vardh diabetic.
Oh, yeah.
Diabetical, right, here we go. I'll just read it. Colenka pizza, dith and nolls if you colenka pizza. Never an inzes again a V and diabetes, mar wothen V, vith, avelhemma. Now I'm as thirsty as a gull, clunking down tummels of water, drinking in like a bloody fish. Hot or cold, it doesn't matter. Yes. These days can't pass a pisser without nipping quick inside. I'm drinking red wine, not beer, and my bladder is pea-sized. And when it to come to crame tea, tidn't a case of having jam first, 'tis cream, more cream, no jam, being diabetically cursed. And now, forever and a day, banned I am from cakey trade. Never mind shop boughten, I can't even have homemade. Heather, seedy and saffron buns, all off the bloody menu for me, and thank ye to the Lord, there isn't no sugar in a pasty. Then again, with all they carbs, in a pasty, pisky, veen or big, tidn't now more than a croon, and I'm asleep, snoring like a pig. With fingers and toes clemmed, blood glucose 20 up, me brain is sometimes scat, as he's floating round in syrup. Back along, I used to be long-headed. Nowadays, can't hardly ski me. So now if I'd a collie a tuss, I'm just being diabetically tazy. Colunca pizza, dith a nos if you colunca pizza. Never an inzes again of thee and diabetes, mar than thee, vith, avil hemma. Clunk and piss, night and day, 'tis clunk and piss. I would have never had the diabetes if I knowed he was going to be like this. Oh.
My bladder makes me madder than an adder on an iceberg. I'm an alphabetic, arithmetic, peripatetic, diabetic, pumping in the insulin, keeping pressure low. Cheers and gone, the jammy cream scone. Oh, co-op Scottish oatcake. Hello. Now, when I came round after a 10-day trip round Eternity and found out that the accommodation in Eternity is as crap as it is down Porthtown, I was lying there looking at it thinking, where the hell am I? What's going on here? And this face appeared over me like this, you see. And it looked at me in a very searching way and said, during your journey back to us, did you have any hallucinations or visions? Nope. Any thoughts at all? Yep. Oh, what? I had an inkling, as we say, that things were going to be okay. When it becoming clear that evacuation was the only option, the obdurate nurse delivered a bedpan. There's nothing so contrary to the laws of nature or heaven, nothing so contrary to the relaxative impulse, nothing so crude, ugly, uncomfortable, or medieval as the NHS bedpan. The head fills with old TV images of Henry VIII's apothecaries and alchemists scuttling down Tudor corridors, hungrily sniffing the regal turd. Satire is all very well and may make the finely tuned intellect howl, but it does nothing to ease the bedridden plight of the bowel. My first punch of the air, a sideswipe at self-determination, came when I looked the beautiful nurse in her beautiful eye. Then I felt something existential explode. Plato belch and Aristotle shed his load. Descartes translating thinking and being into dots and dashes of code. For better or worse, I smiled. Nothing needed to be said. She turned and began to raise me, a lazarine bowel, from my bed. Wait there, I'll get the commode, she said. I delivered my load and then discovered what it would be like to lift off, to voyage from here to Mars, to enable humanity to make a new start. There, in ICU on Friday afternoon, the whole of my being made a fart that took till Tuesday to expire. You may think this a crude essay, unnecessary in the sophistication of modern health services, and the gods may well do their rounds in a flotation of ethereal riddles. But for all the science, the experience, the open share of data with love, the bedpan is an ugly, self-defeating deterrent. Who was it? Which consultant said, only the dead, my dear, would ever dare shit in somebody else's bed?
Yeah. This is called going up clubbery. Troon Club we called them, and you could tell when you was talking to Emmett because they called them the Cricket Club, see? Yes. No need to say cricket because we all know that cricket and troon was one and the same thing. Anyhow, club was a cathedral where Peter John's Cookie and the Carters strutted and rutted and drank like some priestly caste of demigods that they was. But club was far more than a manifestation of God's own game, and not a Methodist God either. Old woman Bennett's from Letty Farm give to Troon land for a clubhouse, then tried to go back on her word on account of club was to sell hard liquor. Too late, missus. Blawed up on the success of the Hague village cricket competition, club rolls up, yo. Well, more spread out, like a giant jellyfish beached up. Exactly like a gate bungalow she was. Where there was a drop of pop for the boys, goodly top shelf for pissheads, and half pints for cordial and soda for 10p for us kids. There was Johnny and Jago, Bimbent and Babs, Toshak, Boy Caddy, Sparrow and Spam. And in the snooker room, machine gunning, coozing, Penberthy and Pengilly became Berth and Gelly. 'Twas blackcurrant and soda till we was 18. Well, except on away matches of Troon snooker B team, when us clunked down Spingo and boys and high speed death. But club was so much more than that to we. 'Twas where old man Pascoe got his name for jumping the cue ball was on the cushion. Springer! 'Twas where, after 100 beat you buggers with a bamboo victories, old man Hodge took on Jago with a tip glued up onto a bamboo, with Jago winning on a 4-cushion fluke on the pink. 'Twas where we all took the piss out of Bimbent when he took Joe Jury up the Copper Hill. Then came the Reformation with Elgin Baptiste, the West Indian Martin Luther of St. Gluvius. He scat out all us janners for 6 and scalus for 6, then skiddled us all out for a duck. The holy orders of the professional game chewed we up, and spat out the bits in the kennel of mediocrity. Now Troon Club didn't so much sink, but decay slowly, like an unloved fishing boat a year or 2 after decommissioning. Then, one day, just like some old chapel where people, just for a croon, lost sight of their God and failed to meet, club shut up. Yes, he did, With windows boarded up, club become blind to Troon, and Troon become blind to club, and even to cricket itself. In the dark that she was, she still had an eye on building houses. But then the credit crunch come along, and even club, who prospered in Thatcher's recession, was left in the semi-derelict limbo of ruination, left go to ruin up on the moors of a Daphne du Maurier novel, or going scat like many a knacked bowl of the Great Flat Load. But we Troon people still remember when us took on every damn village in Kernow and Wales and England and beat the bloody lot of it, and then went up club to celebrate the fact. You do one more?
We'll do this now.
All right. We've run out of time.
Yeah, we've run out of time, so that Nev, he's tearing at us even now.
Whoa.
So,
is that a shepherd's crook? Oh, hell.
This is a joint paper that we've written about the future of Cornish dialect. The end of time, or how a pig washed up in Trevolant's Cove.
And tas a nev in Gwelier, formir pup vith graze, onan ha trion in huir, and tas, and mab, and spirits. Geryow gras, dalath and biz, a levarav nev hatir, bethans formius ortho braze.
That's Origo Monday, written over to Glasney in the belly of Penryn,
yes.
nigh on 800 year ago. And there 'tis, the start of time.
Here, if you look up the top of the page, it to say the end of time. You're going to turn on his head before we're halfway down page 1. Here, have you heard tell about a pig washed up in Trevolant's Cove? Well, here it goes.
Well, the winds of change are blowing through Devolution Alley, so we'd best be getting on.
The winds of change. What change? Devolution Alley. Can't be a Cornish change. Never seen a back lane called an alley in Kernow.
No, cut, backlit, digi, back lane, but mostly you would call them ops.
Yes, and 'tis said op, like in faith, op and charity. 'Tis like op, pop, mop, lop, top.
Anyhow, the winds of change, whipping up the estuaries, piling up the towns, shifting shit from here to there, salting sewage and me surfing hair. They're blowing like they trumpets, marching round the walls of Jericho.
Jericho! Over to St Agnes, centre of that Hebrew dog cult.
What Hebrew dog cult?
Shh! Aggie, where the future's colliding head on with the past, and tinners is smelting the tin they bottled up themselves from Blue Hill Stream, running down its valley with all they Jericho trumpets sounding.
And Jericho's walls all tumbling down and nicked by feng shui architects for ingle nooks and astral patios for transcendental garden walls, and angels clinging to Merit's tomb, flying over deep dull Coath on November nights and weeping for Bassett's endowment, that sanatorium for TB to Hiddy, house burned down, buggered off, monument to the fallen, and by the NHS Property Board sold off for a cough. Not even a song, just a fluttering tuberculoid cough.
Oh my God, Teddy. Out Scythians, when you said the war was fading away and rationing put itself to bed and daughters run off with G.I. Joes to dream they was Marilyn Monroe's and painting stars and stripes over pedicured, manicured toes.
That's when old Mildred Andrew had to go over Teddy.
Who?
Old Mildred Andrew. She who went to visit Albert, a little small man possessed by Mildred, and doctor said he got TB. Mildred was full of dread, but quite excited to think of her Albert. She didn't like him all that much, but she always spoke of her Albert like she'd bought up Woolies.
That's like B&M or Poundland to we young people.
Well, she married her Albert, so we thought as the first step to widowhood. Well, there she go up Churchtown past Seven Stars, which Albert wasn't to go in on account of all that beer going to his head, making him frisky when he got home and climbing aboard Mildred's bed. Ooh. And he, dead as a lump of beef.
Yes, dead as a bit of brisket in Bristol meat machine down Pool Market.
Oh, good man was he, she said, lying through her NHS teeth. Worth a jam jar of primroses up churchyard forevermore.
Only if he died in springtime.
Only old Albert showed signs of improvement. All the kids in the village had to suck sugar lumps which doctor gave them to keep the bogeyman away. Nurse said Mildred could take her lovingly obedient spouse walking over the links.
That link's African, is it? The smell of teenage sexual frustration all mixed up with slavery and colonisation.
No, you daft bugger. Golf links in the lee of old Bassett's house. Now, I don't know who the bloody golfer was who swung his club and never shouted for, but his ball come down on Albert's head. His pipe flew out, a hole in one, up went his toes, out like a light, and Albert Andrew dropped down, dead.
Dead?
Dead.
Dead?
Down by a golf ball in Bassett's backyard, and Mildred buried him and set up down Mrs. Bowden's shop to listen to every tittle and every tattle till she knowed everything about everyone, and everyone knowed that there was no escape from Mildred set for a walk across to Hiddy Links.
What? A bloody lynx loose in Hiddy Woods? Suppose he was released there like one of they beavers over the Laddock, only to eat the grey squirrels. Bloody tree rats.
No, golf links. But nobody ever went hungry in Scythians ever again, unless Mildred thought 'twas time for thee or me to be losing weight in the interest of the state.
Yes. Bit like me and the missus. Can't eat carbohydrates on account of being diabetical. Can't eat fat because I'm already fat as butter. Can't eat protein because that's meat. Can only eat salad and dust. Just dust and lettuce. All I am is half asleep and tazy.
You look all right to me.
Well, thank you.
Anyhow, she and Mrs. B would stand either side of the counter. Phyllis calculating, clinking change and twisting paper bags of yeast and dried banana and rice and curry powder and Cerebos salt. and dreams of erotic paradise in lands beyond the labels of camp coffee and bounty coconut bars. And all they, living in mortgage houses, who come speeding through the village on their way to Truro, collecting kids in Leyland cars and fumes from internal combustion belching and spluttering by the door, while kids with pennies to spend on farthing chews for rotting teeth told Phyllis and Mildred how our hospital up Trelisk was delayed by that archaeologist, Thomas, chasing Iron Age ghosts around their graves to find out what 'twas like all they years ago, before in the back of beyond, before old Reg, the Norman Earl, invented bloody Truro.
And the Norman Newtown of Lanson.
And all they.
And Restormal Castle. So Neoing put on Tristan and Isolde. They gone scat, they.
And all they.
And the refurbishment of Tintagel Castle, where Arthur was born to.
And all they.
Kiss on.
And all they rivers merged in one to fill the lung, a penny come quick, and the coffers too of Killigrew, so the number 3 crew of Truro gigs could catch a crab by Turnaware Bar and go on to win the Second World War. Yes. By invading France in mirror dinghies and setting up twinning committees.
Oh, twinning! That's where the good burghers of Truro to learn le langue français, and the good people of Morlaix are dragged into the tyranny of the Anglosphere.
And old de Gaulle coming home vacances to declare, Vive le Camborne! And Eisenhower did a deal via Stags, the estate agents, who do inflate inflation to keep their commissions rolling in like detritus along Gillen Vase.
Detritus. That's what Southwest Water shit lying all over the Duke's foreshore, decorating Cornish beaches after a draw parade.
And the shores of Par, where men turn white and wheezing for the mining and drying of China clays.
Oh, kaolin and morphine in little green bottles hanging on the wall, and Captain and Mrs. Treglone weeding in the garden, awaiting the fall.
Anyhow, old Ike pitches up with Monty and buys himself a bargain called Tullymore down to Peran or Worthall. So he could organise everybody and have his boys courting the flower of Cornish maidenhood and whisking the clotted creme de la creme of all our beauties off to the States to pretend to be Doris Day.
Res Ruth, whatever true work he may, St. Leonie, God bless my soul, shall echo to pedant and dray. Res Ruth, Good Friday upon Cornbray. Ris Ruth.
Then, all the wives and kids of they Breton sailors who kept French ships as spick and span as fishing smacks, doing trade under cover in the mists and talking one language between two peoples in the shadows of the British Sea.
Not the twinning then.
They was all anxious and uncertain and living down Penzance, and Churchill said they needed to hear words familiar, comforting and free from the mouth of Robert Morton Nance.
Yeah, funny, innit, how Kernow can't get on the BBC official list to say he's a language of bona fide national minority, but when it come to keeping the war going and old de Gaulle huffing and puffing, then the ministry boys to send young Harold Nicholson down to the Mount to see his sister, Mrs. Lady Lordy St. Leven St. Orban, Gwendolyn St. Orban's brother or something.
To see old Morden on the steps, dressed up in Bardic blue, spouting like he's got a war to win and a Breton sinew to tighten to keep things going till twinning.
Oh. And yet, when it come to stumping up a bob or two to keep us speaking the language killed for common prayer, why, till 2004, 100 year precisely since Jenner's little red book launched the Cornish Cultural Revolution, and then 'tis only shillings and pence, not quids or nor euros, to make my bloody teeth grind to think of it all.
What's left of them. After all they archaeological chews and all they talks from Mildred Andrew about being good boys and minding all our P's and Q's to make my teeth grind.
Yeah. And all Kernow exhausted from exporting her greatest and good. Here, see the whole of the solar system and that long-headed boy from Upland East, John Couch Adams, who discovered Neptune by adding up and taking away, learning his times tables and being a good boy. Why, he worked out where he was there, exactly where he should be. So, When the first colonial ship, the NASA Mayflower shuttle, that dropped down out of orbit to set up,
went up on Mars.
And astronaut Jack, navigator Jenny get digging, the fire is burning, the water is hot, and the air deep down is pure and swirling, and Janner leaning on his trusty shovel to turn to cousin Jackie to declare...
You set your pipe to your fuse, Pard. Let's blow this place to kingdom come. Let's ascend the golden stair to bound all heaven for tin, and pay our pound for our eternal share to all St. Leven, our mineral lord.
And when that second coming, 'tis booked with Toohey, and he's on his way, and beds are found ashore in Fowey, so he can land and be on his way. Before the revenues rounded the buoy, 12 young lads, his disciples in, to pitch for the tut and sink the shaft, to stumble all knowing on the mother load. Why, that pair, one and all, he'll take his share and build his house in the right-hand field, beside the barn conversion of God in what used to be Lord's Meadow.
Exclusive to stags, all commissions subject to VAT. No warranty, and all the locals cleared from a buffer strip of landscape, so your kids won't grow up speaking weird and discussing if 'twas an Angoff or if 'twas Angoff of St. Kevin or Flamank of Bodmin wore the beard in heaven's household, or if Wesley ruled a roost like long ago and kept his face clear of undergrowth so eyes and chins could pray as only...
Then, amen!
Amen, brother, amen, amen.
Ah, when Arthur to come, amen! As come again he will, make no mistake, we'll be ready. Beds will be aired, pillows plumped, cutlery counted, terms and conditions promptly displayed.
So we're just waiting till then, considering philosophically and circumspectly how every star, perfectly aligned and all in just the right order, how every constellation in Kernow's chart will rise to shine from Lanyon's art, and then we will make this moment the
end of time!
The final chime of Elston town clock!
The sign of perfect time we've all been waiting for.
The beginning of...
Voilà l'engin du...
The beginning of...
And Daleth
D-R-E-C-K-L-Y. Directly! Amen!
Hey, see that splash out there in the ocean, just off St. Agnes Head? That's a pig making a crash landing.
And unite, and unite, and let us all unite, for summer is a-coming today.
What are you doing now?
I'm singing Mayday, Mayday.
Oh. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our pig washed up in Trevolant's Cove.
There you go.